Hi, my name's Ginny Lindsay, and I'm the principal therapist at From Two to Three Relationship Counselling Service based in Crows Nest, New South Wales. And I work with couples and individuals that are transitioning from a couple to a family of two, three, or four or more. I work basically with young families that are either pregnant or have just had a young baby or have young families. And I'm often asked why people come and see me during this time. So I thought I'd come and just share with you today some of the reasons that people do come and see me, because I used to work a lot with individuals and couples through separation and divorce. And what I really recognized was that the cracks actually started to show when they first had a child. But these issues, which I'm going to share with you today, were not addressed. And in coming to see me now, I can actually address these issues. And the idea is to save marriages and relationships so that the resentments don't build up. So I thought I'd share with you what I actually am often asked during this time. And firstly, it's very much a transitional stage of life when people go from a couple, often a working couple, to a family or a young family where one may have to give up work, and so therefore you've got one working, one not working, or potentially one working, one not working, and then going back to working, and therefore juggling again all those roles and everything that happens. So picture before we have children, what often happens is we have our own identity. We go to work, we have our own identity for what we stand for and what we do in the world. We often have financial independence as well, separate bank accounts, but also just looking after our own affairs. We have often a social group at work, our own friends outside work, and what often is the case is, yes, we will be checking in with our partner, but very much it's along the lines of, well, we can do what we want when we want. And so there's a lot more freedom is probably the case than when a young child or a young family comes along. There's also, within that though, there's a lot more couple time together. So there's a lot more focus that's put onto each other, time spent together going out for coffees or dinners or walks or weekends away. And often that can be spontaneous. And so this is life before children. And a lot more time to do what and when you want to do it. There's probably a good sex life, and also everyone would be saying that they usually get enough sleep and they can control how much sleep they get. And there's a sense of self. So that sort of before children, let's just paint a generalized picture. And then the baby comes along, or a young family comes along, and life changes. And it's like a switch. And it doesn't mean that it has to be for the worse, but what it does mean is it's not all for the bad, it's just different. And couples, therefore, or individuals, have to learn to adjust to those changes at this transitional stage of life. And so everyone's excited that the baby is coming along, and already the focus is starting to shift down onto the child and the excitement of the pregnancy, and very much a focus goes that way. And so because the focus then goes onto the baby, and when then the baby arrives, what I've noticed is then that the focus then goes off the couple and onto the child or the young family that you have. And so and as we know, when we have children, they're very consuming, they're very demanding, and it's all about them. And so when we look at what life was before, the first thing that happens when one has a young family is that there's a lot more tiredness that comes in. And when we have a lot of tiredness, there's therefore a lack of tolerance, a lack of patience, a lack of respect that often comes between the couple. So then friction starts to build. And often there's more arguments that kicks in, and then there's more resentment that builds between the couple. And often couples, when they're in this state, is not the best time for their communication skills to also kick in as well. So then because we're not communicating really effectively at this time also, there's also what John Gottman would call the four horsemen come in, which is a lot of criticism, a lot of defending, a lot of contempt and stonewalling, and we'll then add in also judgment and blame that come in. And these are all counterproductive in keeping connection. Actually, what they do is they build a negative sentiment between the couple. And so we're going apart rather than actually bringing ourselves together. So, and then what I find is that a lot of the couples really don't have the communication skills to be able to really be able to communicate what is going on for them, and the other person to be able to just listen, where one can just offload. Potentially women like to be able to just get it off their chest and offload, and the man to just be able to listen and not feel he has to fix it, but actually his role is just to listen and be able to say, did you just want to get that off your chest, or did you want to be able to work through that? But at that point, do that conversation a bit differently. And so with the tiredness, the next thing that usually goes with that is the lack of sex. Because the biggest killer of sex is tiredness. And it's not because she's wanting to make excuses because she doesn't want it for that reason. There's many reasons that can get in the way, but tiredness is one of the biggest killers. And so then what starts to happen often is then there's the disconnect as well, and the separation starts to occur. And then there's a loneliness that both parties could be feeling. And then there's the isolation that seems to step in, and it's not often helped if you're not connecting with your partner, but also a lot of your friends may not have children as well, so they might still be at work, or your social group was at work, so they sort of don't get where you're at as well. So that can make things even really hard. And because we're now on this path of separateness, people and resentment, people will then think it's okay to stay back and have drinks or stay out and go for work, things that happen there, which exacerbates the loneliness and the isolation. And then trust issues can often kick in as well. So in this, we've got the change of identity of going from a working person to a mother or a father. So we have roles that change, and what the expectations are and the beliefs of those roles. What I often find that also comes into the mix is that there can be cultural differences, where you've got two different cultures that are coming together and trying to raise a young family, and we have different expectations and beliefs about how we both feel that should be done. And what is needed is to get underneath all of that to actually decide what parts of that are really important and how you're going to make your new family. Because what you have is you have one person is system 1, and then the other person is system 2, both from your own family of origins, life experiences that make up who you are today. And when you come together, you're making the relationship in the middle is system 3. And that, when people come to see me, is what we're going to be working on, is on the relationship. And so to do that, it's actually, it takes looking at oneself. And so it's an individual journey as well as an interpersonal journey of actually being able to support each other as well. And then through that, there's compromise, there's understanding, there's empathy, and ways to be able to work out this new system 3 that's in the middle. Another thing that happens when people have young families is that the focus is very much based on task. And what gets lost in this is the focus on each other. And so because it becomes on task, we don't get to those deeper levels, which is so important to really get to know your partner underneath that. And so because often it's based on task, we lose that ability to sit down and have a conversation of, tell me about your day, and really keep connected in with each other. And by keeping connected in, you might have differences of opinions, different beliefs, different expectations, but it provides the opportunity to be able to open those up and find that compromise, that understanding. And what we're looking for is the emotion that's underneath that, and really getting connected in with that with our partner. So we're actually walking with our partner. We're understanding where our partner's at on that particular day. And so instead of living parallel lives, the idea is that we then start to be much more what we want in a relationship, which is what we call the H relationship. This person here is fully fed within themselves. It's their identity, it's their work, it's everything that feeds them, it's their interests, and the same for the other person over here. And then this bit here is your communication and everything that you share. And what happens is often when children come along is this bit gets lost, and then two people start leading two parallel lives. And together, what I work with my clients to do is to actually understand the needs that are very important for each one of these. So they feed themselves, but the other one is helping feed the other as well. So they both feel fulfilled in what they're wanting in life. And that is part of this, which is keeping them connected. And then that is also all the things that they want to be able to share and enjoy together. So it's a communication as well as all the sharing. So when couples or individuals come to see me, they are some of the reasons that bring them into counselling. And I've given you a bit of a picture before, and then what happens after when a child or a young family come along. So if you feel or you can relate to any of these, don't leave it. Let's talk before it breaks. It's so important this can all be addressed, and you can have a really rich, fulfilled relationship that has meaning and all your needs are met on both sides.